Yeah, hi. We are on Google Earth, and I was watching a little bit Google Earth, and I noticed one thing. If you put on the picture mode that you get the pictures, like wherever you go, almost wherever you go, the pictures they are showing you are either this kind of uh, like buildings from the government or churches. And this is something I find interesting. Because I was trying to figure out how the topography of that area or this wider area here actually I'll show you. Talking about this region here because it seems to be really flat. There's no mountains or whatsoever. But it's a little bit hard with those pictures since they are like mostly churches. And I don't care too much about churches. I would like to have landscape pictures, because, no, for example, this one, that's a good example. You can see it's flat. There's no mountains anywhere. We are somewhere in Russia, I guess. There's a huge mine. Yeah, they just dig a really big hole, but if you watch at the horizon, nothing. It's just plain flat as far as the eye can see. Let's go a little bit more south, checking out if there's something which would indicate that the countryside is mostly flat. Yeah, it's also flat here. Let's go a little bit to the west. Is there any? Here's countryside picture. Obviously, some mining operation. They are like everywhere, but it's also flat here. Ukraine. Is there any countryside pictures here? There's just churches everywhere. Country or the whole world is full of churches. Yeah, here is a hill. Yeah, but it's not a mountain. Yeah, this is somehow astonishing that how is it possible that there's just like, so many churches have been built over time. Yeah, like shallow hills, but mostly basically flat. There's no mountains. Kursk? Is there any countryside pictures from Kursk? I guess here's like this kind of mountains range or something starting to rise. No, this doesn't seem too mountainish. Yeah, it's not that. Mainly flat. And if we go more north, let's see if it stays flat. But I want to point out that we have those kind of red spots over the whole place everywhere. And I would say that these are like this kind of peat accumulations and swamp regions and these kind of things. And which is somehow quite similar to the countryside of Finland. We don't have any mountains here. In the north, there's like this few hills. But we have a really huge abundance of peat. 1/3 of the country is peat country. Which is basically like this. And this the other thing which relates these regions here, what we are looking at now here in Russia somewhere, we have those lakes. Some of them look like craters, and some of them, like here is a good example. There's like water, and that's basically the same thing, it's just filled with peat. And this one in the middle could have some connection to groundwater, the other doesn't. So let's go to check if there's some red stuff here also somewhere in Finland. It's not hard to find. You can see it from space. Don't have to search too long. Is there any countryside pictures here? Not really. Yeah, a waterfall. I just try to say that it's like the countryside with all those lakes, peat accumulations, and these kind of things. Uh, and craters. It's a big area. Actually, I have to go more far out. Like, it's really big. It's basically flat, and if you zoom in, let's put the pictures away, they suck. Like, wherever you go, there is this kind of repetitive patterns. Dendritical patterns. Sometimes there you can see them kind of through the ground. So I just want to say that Northern Hemisphere has been electrically altered probably many times. That's why we have those dendritical patterns repeating everywhere. And craters and all these kind of things. If someone would tell you that picture is from the moon with another color or no color, black, white, you would probably believe it. I would say that there's no better proof for having electrical discharge marks on Earth in almost endless abundance wherever you look. Or does anyone try to explain me that these have been all meteorites impacting Earth? And the little river created that one. Really? doesn't make sense to me at all. So, what's left as an explanation? Electricity. And it's reproducible in the laboratory. The other theory isn't. Or does anyone think that people dug those holes out and created this kind of dendritical patterns just somewhere in the middle out of nowhere? You know, if that would be black and white, somebody would tell you that's on Mars or somewhere else, you would buy it. Because the principle of the creation of those things is exactly the same. Just stuff from what it is, what it was built in the first place. Varied atmospheric conditions, pressure, and all these kind of things. They vary, but the principle is exactly the same. So, did Peat really got created by this kind of shockwave event and it got altered by flying through the air, or already altered when the shockwave hit and it just got pulverized? All the good stuff where was some nutritions and these kind of things, they just either got burned away or they got silicified or whatever electricity can do to things in an instant. And the craters, the shape of the landscape, that it's mainly flat, the peat accumulations, they all point to just one like theory, which makes sense because meteorites probably don't create peat, don't create these kind of crater landscapes. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that. What's about those churches?